right. Hello, folks. My name is Pete Friedman. I am the, founder and publisher of CentralTrack.com. We are continuing this week the same Instagram Live interview series that we launched last week. Last week, we had some great guests. We had Jarrett Reddick from Bowling for Soup. We had Jalen Brunson from the Dallas Mavericks. And we had Chris Sapphire from The Circle. This week, we've got a bunch of other great guests. Tomorrow night, I'll be speaking with my old friend and colleague, Robert Wilansky, about his new job and also his continued job at the Morning News. And let's see, we're confirming the later guests for the week still. Next week, we're working on the exact dates, but we will be having Mike Wilson, the editor of the Morning News, will join us. We will also be joined by the following week, Amani McGee Stafford of Your Dallas Wings. But right now, we're going to be joined by Jay Jerrier, the owner of Connie Rosso. We're going to have a chat about the restaurant industry here in town. Jay.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Well, first of all, just so people know, Jay Jerrier here is the owner and operator of Connie Rosso and Zoli's, which are two very popular and acclaimed, and rightly so, pizzerias here in North Texas, but also Connie Rosso's since expanded to around the state. But I ordered some Connie Rosso. I'm going to kind of share the spread. I've got some Caesar salad here, the fritters, and we've got a honey bastard that
is that
my
ranch
fiance has been. Yes, we do have the side of ranch. I know you're eagle-eyed about the ranch.
You plated that so nice too.
Thank you. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. I wanted to ask about this because I think there's been a lot of just discussion about food and how food gets transferred around these days. I've seen some crazy viral videos of people disinfecting their groceries and whatnot and things like that. I noticed that the delivery I got tonight, which is from Uber Eats, which I also want to talk about. It came, and I've ordered Connie Rosso a couple times throughout this. It came with a kind of sealed sticker on the boxes.
Yeah.
Can you just walk me through that? I don't think that's something that you always did. So can you walk me through that? So I've taken all the food out and plated it myself.
Yeah.
Is that the proper protocol?
Well, I mean, normally I'm an idiot and I stand up eating it out of the box over the sink. But I know I always give our marketing guru, Jeff Amador, I always think he's at a restaurant whenever he posts pictures of food, but he's like taking it out of the box and like really elegantly plated it at home. And so that's probably the proper protocol because it's such a beatdown. Today I was walking out of Zoli's with a bunch of stuff, and one of the boxes of salad went flying off the top, and I was like, man, I'm so effing sick of takeout boxes.
Yeah.
It spilled all over the sidewalk.
Are you encouraging people? Also, I'm planning on eating throughout this.
Go ahead.
Are you familiar with what the term mukbang? Do you know what that is?
No.
So mukbang is like this Japanese thing that's really big on the internet where people eat for video. People just watch them eat. It's like a kink. A little bit.
I'll take a nice big sip out of my Lusher's retro.
I have that cup downstairs.
It's exclusive glassware at our house.
But I mean, let's talk about the seal, right? You're putting a seal on your delivery thing. Is that a new thing?
Yeah, I think we started that obviously with the whole coronavirus, where I think people wanted some sense that once the food left the restaurant, that nobody was jacking around with it. I mean, honestly, it's, once it goes in the box, it's in the box. But it's more, honestly, for we would get so many calls. You wouldn't believe how many honey bastards go missing from the time they leave our restaurant into the Uber car to your house.
Wow.
You're not going to believe it. They must have forgot your honey bastard as he's wiping soprasada and honey off his chin. So a lot of them, we had a lot of issues with pizzas and food going missing. So, just another if it makes people feel good that we've sealed it from the restaurant, but it also gives them comfort that whoever is, if they're not picking it up personally, they don't know the guy that's driving it necessarily. So they just want to make sure that nobody has jacked with their food between the restaurant and when it gets to their house. So
so the last time I ordered from you guys, it was like actually right after like the dining room ban went into place, and I just called up the spot and got delivery specifically from your employees. When I went to the website today, the reason I went through Uber Eats because it seemed like you were directing people that way.
Yeah, if you use our website to order online, that's for pickup, and that's actually in all cases. I know there's a lot of debate going around, but in all cases, it is 1,000,000% better for you to call the restaurant directly and pick it up yourself than it is to use a delivery service. They I get it; it's a necessary evil. People want to be able to order off the app. I mean, and they want to not leave their house. I mean, I have a 17-year-old daughter, and God forbid she ever has to talk to a human being about something. She would rather just press a button and have her food appear. And so I get it. Look, at this point, and I told people, like, I would prefer you to call us and come pick it up, but I know a lot of people can't do that. I am beyond thrilled for anybody that orders any food from us during this period. I'll take, even if they take a huge percentage of the fees, that's okay. I'm happy to have one penny from anybody.
Yeah. So I can't. So just so people know, they can call up the restaurants, and you guys are delivering. The way I read it tonight on there, I was almost wondering if throughout this delivery had spiked so much that you had to outsource it.
No, we've always used Uber Eats, but it's really spiked on Uber Eats now. But we were originally using our employees to give them some hours to go delivery. Look at that, nice fold on that. We're using we're using our employees to do delivery, but unfortunately, our insurance companies frowned upon that from a liability standpoint. So that's why if you want delivery to your place, it's going to be through Uber Eats. But if you want to come pick it up, you can call us, or you can just order online through our website. If you go through either Rosso.com or Zoli'sPizza.com, you'll see there's an order online button up top, and we'll take care of it. And so I saw somebody ask a question. I mean, we're lucky Uber.
Are you talking about the Uber Eats percentage question?
Yeah, Uber Eats takes. We were at 30% a while back, but we had kind of struck a company-wide deal for all our locations, all our brands, that gets us down to 21%. So it's a much better deal, and I don't even know that we could necessarily do it ourselves for 21% cost. But what kind of drives me nuts is how people will say, "Oh no, it's free delivery." Yeah, it's free delivery to the customer in all cases, and that's great. If that incents you to order, awesome. But they always 100% always charge the restaurant. That early on experience,
you were delivering for a short while.
We were delivering for a short while until the insurance company said, "Hey, pal, we don't know about that."
So let's talk. Let's kind of reset just a little bit. So I'm here with Jay Jerrier, the owner and operator of Rosso and Zoli's. Jay, just a little bit of your backstory for people who might not know. You're kind of even still, like you did not set out at a young age to be a restaurateur. What was your job beforehand? I know there was a food truck, but we'll get to that.
This is 100% a young man's game. I started this when I was 42, like an idiot, and I'm about to be 52. So I'm as I say, I'm 10 years deep in the game. But it feels like 1,000. But before this, I was just generic sales guy in my Dockers and my business casual shirt, sitting at Starbucks, going through LinkedIn saying, "Today's the day for old Jaybird to make a sale," kind of thing. But they like all big corporations, they eventually get tired of your act when you make a certain amount of money, and they kind of offered me the opportunity to say, "See you later, pal." I had a year-long severance package, so I had a great air cover to say, "Okay, let's get nuts." And we had been doing some little catering on the side with the mobile wood burning oven, and then we.
But how did you get into that though? I mean, were you just a big fan of pizza? Had you done like the Italian trip, and you were just like, I got to do this?
Yeah, well, I mean, I worked for GE Capital for a long time, and I lived in New York in the Northeast for a long time, and I had been to, all up and down Italy, Rome, Naples, Capri, Sorrento, all that kind of stuff, and really fell in love with the food and like the wood-fired pizza and the fresh mozzarella. And I don't know if you can tell on the camera, Pete, but I like to eat. You don't get a body like this with salads. So
Me too, man. I'm the same.
So we eventually kind of settled in Texas, my wife and I, and we built a wood burning pizza oven in the backyard, and I started to get really good at making pizza. Went to LA and got some training with the Neapolitans to learn how to make really good wood fired pizza.
And
it just kind of like escalated from home wood burning oven to, hey, let's get a mobile oven on a trailer and we can do some fun events at my kids' school and stuff like that. And then it turned to, whoa, we can actually make this a business. And then it turned into, hey, we think we're going to fire you from your day job. It's like, oh, I guess this is now my full-time job making pizza.
Yeah, and, so you kind of have the story of like it's almost like the cliche like home brewer, right?
Yeah.
And then they fall through. You're kind of like the pizza version of that.
Yeah, it's a terrible idea to start a restaurant, by the way. Focus group of one. Hey, you make good pizza. All right, I'm going to open a restaurant. Yeah, it was a terrible idea. It almost never works. But
when did the first restaurant open in Deep Ellum?
Valentine's Day 2011, right after that gigantic ice storm and the Cowboys Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl weekend.
Yeah. So, we had all those big events planned down at Fair Park. It was going to be awesome for us, but we couldn't get permits, and because they shut the city down. So it was a disaster. But, we were really lucky. We had a following from the mobile oven when we opened, and so we were pretty busy right when we opened. And then we got really busy once Food Network came through and did diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Yeah.
And then it got crazy, and that just kind of let us kind of spiral up from there.
And you're also you were one of the kind of newer generation of Deep Ellum kind of coming back, right? Yeah. You were kind of on that wave.
Everybody thought that was the worst idea ever to go to Deep Ellum because we were doing a pop-up up in kind of North Dallas, Preston Hollow at Preston Forest. And, we had a lot of loyal customers up there, and they were like, oh, my God, I can't believe you're going to Deep Ellum. That's going to be a disaster. But, I knew Jason Boso and Quincy from Twisted Root, and they always had a line out the door at lunch. I said, all right, worst case, we can use this as a catering kitchen, and maybe it'll work out. But, luckily, and I say this, Madison Partners, they're part of the fabric of Deep Ellum, and they're great guys. They saved my butt so many times in terms of I did so many stupid things in the lease that they were like, no, pal, you got to do it this way, and they really helped guide me, and even through this whole Corona thing, they've been the first landlords that have been the coolest. It's like, look, we're in it for the long haul. We want our tenants to survive, so let's get creative. Just worry about taking care of your people, and we'll figure out the rent later. And
at this point, you've got, I know, all right. Is it 6 locations in North Texas? The location in Houston, the one in Fort Worth, and then Austin as well. How many in North Texas?
We have Deep Ellum, White Rock, Carrollton, Frisco, Fort Worth, and who else am I forgetting? Deep Ellum, White Rock, Carrollton, Frisco, Fort Worth, Zoli, Fort Worth, Zoli's Addison, and then we're working on Rosso, Arlington. So I believe that would be 9, unless I miraculously forgot somebody, but I don't think I did.
But so you don't now have the same landlord everywhere?
No, we don't have we have one landlord that covers 2 of our locations.
Okay.
And for the most part, they're all local guys, and they're very cool. Local individually versus some big faceless real estate investment trust that is, managed by some guys out of New York City that just, that don't care. They just want their, sounds good. Where's my money? Kind of thing. But
so you mentioned Madison Partners was really cool at the start of this, and I've heard some stories, and I was actually in touch with John Hetzel for a little while about a story I was working on, then kind of got delayed on. So, but I know that he was that they I don't know the specifics, but I know they were doing some leniency
Yeah,
So they're
no,
sending to Deep Ellum.
they have always been the easiest guys to work with, and they were the ones that, they used to come to our pop-ups, and they were the ones that came to me and said, we got some space in Deep Ellum, we really want you to see it. And I had looked at everywhere, and when I walked into the what's now the Kind Rosso at Deep Ellum, it was a dump. It was the old daiquiri dump, actually, and stuff was all over the walls, and it was all falling apart. But I was like, oh my god, this is exactly.
Was that what Saul's Tacos was?
I know it used to be. It was a rock club that they told us that Guns N' Roses and David Koresh actually had played at. And then right before us, it was the daiquiri dump, and it was destroyed after that. But I was like, man, this is the kind of place I was looking, with brick walls and a rafter ceiling. And I said, this finally has the vibe I want. And they were like, look, we're going to work with you to get it fixed up and blah, blah, blah.
How have have you had other landlords that haven't been so understanding during this time?
Yeah, I'd say some that have basically sent us, 55 emails saying, hey, make sure you apply for those government loans so you can pay your rent, and rent's due on the 1st and it's late on the 5th, just FYI. But that being said, I think that's a lot of automated trigger stuff, and they've all indicated a willingness to work with us, but nobody's committed to anything on paper. So they're just we're all trying to figure things out.
So that was a very fast crash course, I think, in catching up, and then also touching base a little bit on what's going on. But on March 16th was when the city made the dining room ban.
Yeah.
All right, it was that Monday, and then it went into effect at 11:59 that night, right?
Yeah.
Because restaurants really were not targeted, but they were in the first wave of things that were announced very clearly. Dining rooms are going to be closed. When you hear that, what's the next step for you? What do you guys do?
Well, after dropping about 50 F-bombs and saying, why is it the one industry I decided to go into is going to be specifically laser targeted? But, I knew I think it was March 12th. We were at Zoli's, and it was coming across that the NBA was canceling the season.
Yep.
That's when I was
that was kind of the first thing everyone knew about. Yeah.
That's when I was like, oh shit, we're, effed. Because they were going to shut the job. But basically, we have an awesome team I have, 4 guys that are kind of on my senior executive super squad, our CFO, our CMO, our head of all culinary, and our head of operations. We all immediately got together, and we had to. I'm not going to say pivot because I'm sick of hearing that word, and I'm also trying not to say. I don't want to say we had to pivot to the new normal because those words make me sick to my stomach. But basically, we had to transition from probably about 10% off-premise sales to 100%. In 24 hours, because it was, once they started shutting things down, the effect was immediate, where people said, all right, well, screw it, I'm never ever going out again. I'm going to go get 1,000 rolls of toilet paper and 100 pounds of ground beef, and I'm never going to go out again. And there's still a large percentage of people that have zero interest in going out. But
you've been very forthcoming about all this on social media, though, and I think you've expressed some gratitude. It seems like business has been, while not the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said in a couple of things. For one, we're lucky that we are a pizza place. Pizza is one of those foods that when people are stressed out, it's comfort food and it travels reasonably well. Kind of Rosso doesn't travel as well as Zoli's or New York style stuff, but the pastas travel great and they're really hearty, and our portions are big and they last for a long time. So people seem to be really happy with that. Now, it does vary by location. There are some locations that are doing well, like Deep Ellum and Kind Rosso Fort Worth and Carrollton, but there are some locations that are absolutely, as Michael Scott says, punched in the grief bone. The Star, the one at Kind Rosso at the Star, there's 0 foot traffic. A lot of the restaurants are just straight up closed. The Omni closed. There's no events. That's a foot traffic type of place. We're getting killed there. So
you're touching into something that I want to get into, which is that the different locations are under different regulations, right? And in fact, Frisco was kind of the last major North Texas city to make that change, instill that policy.
Right.
So you kind of, and then I'm not even sure when Houston and Austin kicked in. Yeah. So, but it seems like there was a progression, right? how did it happen? Did like when you did that in the Dallas ones, were you ready to make the moves on the other ones?
We did it instantly. Once we did it for the Dallas ones, we did it for everybody. We didn't have staged policies. I mean, and really the thing with Frisco is clientele is a lot of families and suburban crowd. So regardless of Collin County saying, hey, you don't have to wear masks and you can still go in the dining room, none of those people were doing it. They were like, I'm going to keep my family safe at any cost, so we're never, ever going to go out. And so, the Frisco store has had the biggest drop off in traffic from day one, no matter what. Some stores have seen, big spikes, and it just depends on where they are. But it really didn't matter for us from location, county, or city.
Not even Austin and Houston?
We just did it straight across the board. We just kind of said, look, just go to go and curbside and delivery for all locations all at once. Just to, our employees were obviously freaking out. Our managers were freaking out. Customers were freaking out. It just made sense just to hit the pause button, catch our breath, and then figure out what we're going to do.
And you did a couple things. One of which got a lot of play locally was that you decided to bring ranch dressing into the fold. So for people who don't know, the ranch dressing story, I mean, with the short version is you just don't like ranch on pizza. You think you think it's a sacrilegious thing. The pizza's fine on its own. It became a running bit at the restaurant where you wouldn't serve it and people would ask for it, and you even had a bottle that was up for $10,000. We don't have to get into the whole story.
Yeah.
But I do want to eat on camera a ranch dip and just get your reaction.
Yeah, no, I think that's gross. I mean, I like ranch on salad and on chicken tenders and stuff like that, and maybe even some cheese fries. But I don't know. For some reason, I never liked it with pizza, and I just never understood it. And we always just thought it was funny. And then it became even more funny when people got so mad about it that we said, all right, let's just make this a running bit. We just didn't have a salad with ranch on in the house, so we just never carried it. But
so the bottle that you had for sale was a Hidden Valley bottle. What am I eating just now? Is that Hidden Valley?
No, we make that in house.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to get to that question that's there in a second, but let's just talk this out because you did team up with them a little bit, Hidden Valley Ranch.
Yeah, they got bits. They're pretty funny. So they've been, we don't really care. I don't care that much about ranch, but it just became a running joke, and they kind of got in on the joke. And a couple of times we've done fundraising nights for various things around Texas, like when the Beaumont Humane Society, when that burned down. Dogs are very important to us, and so we said, all right, let's do a night where we donate 100% of sales to the Beaumont Humane Society so they can rebuild. So we did that, and we had some partners of ours back in the day from Caviar that came in and said, we want to buy the bottle of ranch, and that way all the sales would go to the Beaumont Humane Society. And then we did another night when Houston had that, the huge, terrible flood. Our buddies, Matt and Emily Highland from ME Squared and Emily up in New York and Nashville and now all over the place, they bought the bottle of ranch to donate the money for the flood relief. And so and then Hidden Valley would always tweet about it, and they would always replenish our stock. They sent us a golden bottle one time, and like I said, they're funny. But
they bought us a bunch of pizza from you.
Yeah,
for local.
And then they also made a $2,000 donation. In this kind of latest Corona mess for us to go and be able to feed kind of frontline hospitals and places like that.
It seems like that's been a really popular vehicle for donations, not just Connie Rosso, but people ordering food and sending it to hospitals.
Yeah.
Is that something you guys have done a bunch of during this time?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We do a ton of it. We actually set up, if you go to ConnieRosso.com/donate or Zoli'sPizza.com/donate, you can actually go on and you can buy you can say, hey, I want to buy a pizza for somebody on the front line. And we just accumulate the pieces, and when we get enough, we go out and we deliver them to, a hospital or police station or something like that.
That's really cool. How many pieces? How many pizzas do you think you've done? Do you have any idea?
I don't know. I bet somebody would. If Jeff Amador is watching, he will probably
Yeah,
put that
Jeff,
up on
in the comments. Let us know.
put that on the comments. But it's been quite a few. You know, it comes in ebbs and waves. I think people just want to feel like they're doing something to, to help the people with all those poor mask lines all over their face. To make sure they're not eating Domino's or Pizza Hut.
How much Connie Rosso are you eating right now?
Today I actually had Zoli's, but yeah, we eat a lot of pizza.
Well, let's talk about some of the logistics of on May 1st, the government relaxed some of the restrictions on dining rooms. Yours is not opened up fully, but the point is that he wants to allow 25% capacity, which seems like kind of an arbitrary number. You guys you're still only doing the curbside and delivery at all locations. Are you planning to make steps towards the return? Where are we in the thought process there?
I mean, at some point we're going to reopen because we're limping along, like literally limping along. Kind of like I used the analogy for somebody the other day. It's kind of like a duck floating on the water. On the surface, the duck looks like super smooth, but underneath, I'm frantically paddling like an insane person. I'm probably on suicide watch at my house. They take my belt and shoelaces, because I have my manic swings.
It's kind of dark there, Jay.
I know, where this is all going to be all right, or this is the worst day of my life. You never know what you're going to get. But we've been working with our guys and just trying to figure out, as I said, I think like last Monday they said, hey, on Friday you can open up 25%. It's like we found out Monday afternoon. We got together Tuesday morning, and as we started talking about it, we said, we're just not ready, to get 9 locations across the state opened up on the same thing. We want to take a look at how we're going to set up the facilities. We want to make sure our staff is cool and make sure everybody wants to come back and is ready to come back. And then we also, you can see, there's a tremendous amount of fear and rage on the interwebs about people that are opening up. But at some point,
how do you feel about is it even, does it make any sense at 25% capacity to open up?
For us, and I said for us, it would absolutely help. It would absolutely be accretive. We could maybe get 20 or 30 seats at that 25% at most of our places. And, you're taking 20 or 30 seats probably at multiple shifts throughout the day. So we could absolutely 100% positive make money. It would absolutely positively help us. But, we want to make sure we do it smart and everybody's on board because, we don't want to start dragging people back to work and have them all be terrified. But
how in touch with your staff are you at the moment? And how have you been communicating with them throughout this?
We talk constantly. I get together face to face with, the senior leadership at least once a week. We get together face to face. We've done Google Meet. We've done Zoom. Our texts are going 24/7 anyway, keeping in touch. Those guys they're hustling so hard. We've kind of accelerated a lot of innovation as a result of this. We're doing a lot of take and bake pizzas now. Where, we partnered with our, Chef's Produce to do produce boxes, things like that, where they will come and, give fresh produce for people that are having a hard time to find it. And then we have pizzas that you can take and actually bake at home, and they come out awesome. We use our Zoli's dough.
Even without a wood fired.
Yeah, we have a special tray that they come on that just goes right in your oven, and it really works awesome. So we're working on that kind of stuff. But those guys are out hustling. We've done pop-ups with the take and bakes at Taco y Vino down in and we do pop-ups for at all of our restaurants to just do the take and bakes. We're doing some neighborhood drops this weekend, so we're getting as creative as we can. Our culinary guys have really done an amazing job at that, and Amador does all our marketing, and he has really been doing a good job about getting the word out for all this stuff. We mostly get our messaging out through social media, so it's been crazy. The other thing too is, we have restaurant buddies all over, so we take their temperature on who's opening, who's not opening, how are they doing it. I spent, I talked to Omar Flores at Whistle Britches and Muchacho, Moasi at Crush Taco, Jack Gibbons and Randy DeWitt at Front Burner are way ahead of a lot of people in terms of just.
I think Front Burner restaurants are opening back up.
Yeah, they are opening back up, and they have like, tremendous documentation, steps, and methodology and process that we're gathering some best practices for them. I went out on Friday night and Sunday for brunch to restaurants just to see how they were doing it.
Okay. So, what did you see? Because I did not.
I mean, I was so happy to be out. For one, they've done a good job, and I was just trying to look for what was the experience like, and and when you're going out on Friday, the first time they're open, all those people are the first adopters. So they're, you're not going to get a lot of beef from them. But it was good. They had, controlled access, one way in, one way out, sanitizer everywhere, gloves and masks on everybody, tables spaced really well out. But, it was nice to sit in a chair and hear other people talking and eating and clanking of plates and music. Unlike at my house where like we're eating off paper plates and the dogs are barking and then I'm having to do the freaking dishes kind of thing. So it was nice to get out, and it felt a little bit of normalcy. And
I imagine the energy of those dining rooms maybe felt a little bit like a soft opening.
Yeah, I saw one of the Front Burner guys there. I said, I feel like I'm at like a hotel restaurant in like Dayton, Ohio, where like the tables were spread really far out, and it wasn't like, super energy, but the people that were there were very happy.
So that encouraged, I mean, then the crowds were good too, sounds like what you're saying?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say there were crowds. I wasn't going to like Mi Casina or Gloria for my margs on the patio. Yeah. I was, we went to the ranch at Las Colinas, and we went to Haywire.
And these kind of research trips?
Yeah, only because I talked to the guys at Front Burner a lot, and I knew they were well organized, and I knew they would have their act together. So I wanted to see how they did it. And, for the most part, I would say our restaurants and most restaurants get cleaned 1,000 times more often than probably my kitchen or your kitchen at home.
Oh yeah, sure. I used to wait tables in college, and so like that.
I wasn't worried about the sanitation at the restaurants. I was more wanted to see how the other customers were behaving. And like I said, we weren't at places that were insane where you're asking for trouble, like margs on the patio kind of place. We were at like, hey, let's go to like a normal restaurant and just see how it feels. And it was good, but it's for a lot of people it may not be good. But for us, dry cough. I was happy, and we'll do it again.
You were talking about you've been in touch with your staff, but you also mentioned that like that's one of the factors in making sure the staff is comfortable. I imagine, and this is kind of the unfortunate reality of it, that you have servers who probably haven't been able to work. Mm-hmm. But it sounds like by putting out more pizzas, like are you putting people in different jobs? Like how have you been able to maintain? Like how about just have you been able to maintain any staff retention throughout this? How are you balancing all that?
Well, we've been trying to do as much as we can by spreading it out. Yeah, so we have a lot of front of house waiters and whatnot that are, manning phones, manning to-go stations. We have hostesses doing some of that kind of stuff. So we have a lot of that. We've kept most of our back of house, like pizza guys and cooks and all those people.
Because someone's got to make the pizza.
We've kept them, busy, not probably, not as many hours as they're normally used to, but everybody's getting some. And, we have some, it's been cool. Like we'll have some high school kids that'll say, look, I don't, I can stay at home with my parents, give these hours to somebody that really, like the hostesses and stuff like that. They're like, nah, let somebody else take those hours. I'm fine kind of thing.
Have you had many staff members who've expressed concern about not wanting to work?
Yeah, we've gotten some emails and stuff like that, and we haven't done anything. We're trying to figure out what the right thing to do is and what the safe thing to do is, and but we can't continue to operate like this. I'll tell you that. It's not sustainable. We can take a hit for a little bit, but we need to figure out what we're going to do on a go forward basis, and how do we get people feel comfortable coming back in? And I mean, I think the table spacing seems to be the biggest thing that people are concerned about. Most of our restaurants are in that, 4,000 square feet. So they're not tiny. So we can spread people out. And most of them, we have nice big patios that we can spread people out. It's just, I think the hardest part is going to be policing guests to make sure everybody's being cool and not running around crazy and that kind of thing. And just really, I mean, I'm more worried about longer term people wanting to go back out. I mean, I know some people will go back out, but I mean, how long till it is going to get back to reasonably being normal where people are going to want to go out? And then, we got to think about, like I said, I have restaurant spaces that may be between 4,000, 5,000 square feet. If I'm going to be running at 50% of my sales, I got to have some heart to hearts with those landlords and say, look, this is a new deal. We can't make it work on these numbers.
Well, it sounds like you've had some fortune with your landlords, as we were talking before, and it sounds like, you hit on this pretty early. Being a pizza place is a huge advantage because that's a food that, so we've been doing these recurring stories on Central Track, just kind of reminding people of every couple of days we'll just take a different lane, a different kind of food, a different cuisine. Yeah. Like today with sushi, and it's just here's a bunch of places that you can order from. Some of that is just education because I think no one needs to be told that pizza can get delivered in America. Yeah. So you guys were, in some ways, even though this wasn't traditionally your thing, you're a little bit better prepared than some. You also talked about talking to other restaurateurs, but I know not just bigger guys like the front burner guys, but I know you're friends with Blusher and others. I assume you're in contact with just a greater circle of restaurateurs. What are you guys thinking as far as a return to normalcy? And I think there's a lot of concern about whether that's even what that means, and then also, are the crowds how much is it going to be on the crowds? Is it just the regulations that are saying don't come out, or are people themselves not going to want to go out as much? Is that stuff that you're talking about? I mean, I know these are kind of unknowns, but I'm just wondering what you're hearing and what the general sense that you're all feeling is.
That's the biggest unknown for me right now, and probably the biggest source of stress is, I know that we can figure out a way to get to our, 25% or 50%, but, how long is it going to be that way until people start coming back out? My wife told me, you got to get off Facebook because I can't take these groups anymore. People saying, well, I'm never, ever going out until there's a vaccine. It's well, that's 18 months. I don't know how that's going to work, or or people getting mad at other people going out, and it's just I just don't know. I don't know. Yeah. We're taking it kind of 1 week at a time. It's all right, what can we? It's like death by duck bite, long, slow, and painful. We're just gonna take 1 week at a time and just okay, what can we do next week, and what can we do the week after that, and just kind of take it in little bites.
Have you considered doing things like menu changes or anything like that?
We're pretty simple. It's most of the stuff that we do for pizza, it's some of the same ingredients are in the pastas or sandwiches. So we don't really need to, it's not like we're doing lobsters and steaks and stuff like that.
You have implemented the alcohol to go aspect, correct?
Yeah, we've done. That's
been a little bit of a confusing thing, right? Just in terms of the general public. So yeah. How have you guys approached that? Can you walk me through that?
Yeah, we immediately consulted our attorneys to say, okay, how much can we get away with? Because, when people started saying, hey, you can do alcohol to go, you had a lot of places that were immediately selling gallons of margaritas, pre-mixed.
Yeah.
Which, excuse me, which definitely is not legal. And we kind of knew that. I mean, as tempting as it was, we saw sales drop dramatically. When people were selling those gallons of margaritas, those guys were taking it and running till.
Oh, you saw your sales drop?
Oh, yeah.
They were doing. Wow.
Yeah, because as soon as people were selling gallons of margaritas, that's where people flocked to.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of waited till people got their wrist slapped, and then say, oh, okay, my bad, we didn't know we could do that. But we just started saying, okay, what can we sell to go and what travels well, and obviously beer and wine we can do discounts on. And then we just started one of the things was making our frosé kits to go. Was finding a way to.
So are you selling those with the little like a little airplane bottle?
Yeah, with we're doing mules that come with like the little bottle of Tito's, and then all the other mixer stuff. We're doing.
Okay, here's the question about that though.
What's
you
that?
guys didn't used to stock little airplane bottles.
No, we had to do that.
How quickly was your just like? Are you Benny Keith or who? I don't know who your distributor is, but like,
yeah, we used.
How quickly was that? They were on it immediately.
Yeah, I mean, everybody in Texas probably burned through all their supplies, and then basically, most of the Mexican places were buying up all the tequila. So for all reasons, no matter what the brand was, whether it was like Rock Gut or whether it was the finest you could buy in those tiny bottles, they were buying it all. So we had to switch into that. And the other menu stuff we did was like the family size pastas and things like that, because it seems like a lot of people want, it's like, well, I don't want to just order pizza. I want, a family size salad and bread and, giant pastas and stuff like that.
The analytics of it a little bit, have orders changed? And then like I said, I used to wait tables and then I think anyone who has, we've covered the restaurant industry at Sunstrap for 8 years now. It's just like, it doesn't take a genius to know that how much the alcohol sales is a big part of what keeps the restaurant industry alive. Now that you're able to sell somewhat to go, has that affected the to-go sales? I mean, some of this is just goosing the numbers, and maybe it's not entirely clear what the cause is because we're still in it.
Yeah.
But like, what are you learning looking at like your numbers?
For us, alcohol's never been a big driver. We've been between 20 and 30% of sales are alcohol. So we're not like a bar or a Mexican place where it's 50%, or a steakhouse where, they're selling $100 bottles of wine. So
that's where a lot of the confusion is right now as far as what's a 51% establishment.
Yeah. So we don't sell a ton of booze anyway. So we haven't seen, to go that always drops down. We still... The funny thing is, I think that we have more, our percentage of pizza sales have actually gone up, because, about a year ago when Jeff Bekovac, who used to be the executive chef for Neighborhood Services and Town Hearth and all that, he joined us as our head of culinary ops and really kind of tweaked our menu to make it a little broader and execute at a little higher level in terms of pastas and appetizers, like those fritters you're enjoying, appetizers, sandwiches, stuff like that. I mean, the reason why we have such an awesome burger at Zoli's is because of Bekovac. I mean, he was the brains behind Offsite Kitchen Burgers, and so we have a burger pedigree, and so we've seen the mix drop where it wasn't like so heavy on pizza. We now sell a lot of sandwiches and appetizers and pastas and things like that, and now with the takeout, the pizzas have probably creeped up a little bit higher than they normally have. That's been about the biggest thing.
You, as anyone who's watching this can see, are a massive Star Wars fan.
Yes.
You got Chewbacca behind you. Today is May the 4th, which is like, I guess now kind of officially Star Wars Day. Yeah. It was unofficial for a while. There's a massive mural by our mutual friend Clay Stinnett at your Frisco location, right? And he does art for many of your places.
Yeah, he does.
But he's got a big Star Wars one at the Frisco one.
Yeah, and that's based on the huge one at the Frisco one, the Run DMC Star Wars.
Yeah.
Is it's actually just a little like 12 by 16 painting that the original is hanging in Zoli's in Addison, and we just had it kind of blown up and stuff like that. Clay does a lot of our Star Wars art, and I mean, he's just a really cool guy. I don't know. You may have met him, but
he's a buddy of mine.
I will just, he and I will just talk all the time. It's like, he knows that I love, that's how Biggie Chewbacca came about, is that, he knows I love like 80s and 90s hip hop. And that's why we have the Run DMC one and the Biggie one. And we have a Smokey and the Bandit one. Anything that's funny, I'll say, hey, can you make that? But can you do it Chewbacca?
And that's his aesthetic as well, like pop culture mashups.
Yeah.
But so you've thrown May the 4th events, right, at your places before?
That's why this is so freaking sad, is that, and in fact, I just pulled up the numbers. we did, over $100,000 in sales for our restaurants last May the 4th. It's like our national holiday. We had caricature artists. We had kind of the troopers from the 501st, which is like a cosplay group that comes in full hardcore outfits at all of our locations. Really trivia, movies. So, I mean, this one hurts. It hurts.
Was there any discussion, like, to do it virtually or to do it somehow with like social media?
We don't have our shit together to pull that off. We're just we're just trying to stay afloat. So it's been a real bummer to not be able to do all that stuff. So it kind of stinks, but what are you gonna do?
Well, I guess next year you can just go even bigger.
Yeah, it would have been perfect this year, with Rise of Skywalker out, and we normally have all this stuff all squared away, but everything is just shot to hell. What
do you think people? Is there anything? We've covered a lot of ground here, but is there stuff that people aren't noticing or covering about the way this pandemic and the lockdown and reaction to it is affecting the restaurant industry that maybe we haven't covered or that people aren't noticing?
I think most people have done a good job about getting the word out about the delivery services. That's a big thing, and I think the other thing that is that I'd like to see more is that you really got to think, like I've told my family, it's like that's it, no more chain restaurants. It's like I know you want Chick-fil-A, but we're gonna go to Street's Fine Chicken and get tenders, and we're not gonna go to Chick-fil-A, or you're gonna have to kick your Chipotle habit. This is my kids. I say you gotta kick your Chipotle habit, because these guys, and McDonald's, and these guys are all gonna be around after. Some of our friends. I mean, that's like freaking Lushers. It's like we can't have nice things because we don't support them, and so I think wherever it is. I mean, if you love pizza, I hope you come to us. But there's also, our buddies at Cavalli make great pizza, or, burgers, come to Zoli's, or go see freaking Hans in Fort Worth at Swiss Pastry Shop. And, you got to go to these places that are sole proprietors, or, big fat jerks like me, because, hopefully you want us to survive. I mean, you guys wrote a great article, which I always laugh when it comes up in my memory, about the, when Zoli shut down, all of a sudden, we were the most beloved restaurant in the history of Oak Cliff. And
that's the crazy thing. That really, I think we share that frustration, and I know I talked to Brian at length about it, both when Lushers closed and then also when they sold the Grape. It's just like we call them curtain callers, and we call them nostalgia tourists.
Yeah.
And I think that brings up a really interesting point, which is that would you say, we already have lost some. We're going to lose some restaurants because of this.
Yeah, I keep, I feel bad. We probably will. There's probably some people, but, probably a lot of little mom and pop Mexican shops are going to say, look, we can't make this work. But, it's like the other thing too, is like, I'll tell you, the one thing that drove me nuts about this is like people falling all over themselves to praise Shake Shack for giving $10 million back. I mean, what the fuck did you ask for it to begin with? You're a public company. It's like, oh, well, we were able to get a small $150 million by just raising some equity in the public markets. Like, well, no shit. You're a huge company. And it's like Shake Shack. It's like, they're the ones that are taking business away from Maple and Motor, and they're the ones that probably hurt Lushers. It's like, why are you people lining up for a burger from New York? It's like you immediately get, a free pass if you're a chain from freaking New York.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and that's in every city. Houston and Austin. If you open a restaurant from Dallas and Houston and Austin, they give you the side eye. But if you're from New York, they're like, wow, that's different.
Yeah, and it goes against the commercial, the taco commercial from El Paso, all these years ago. We did, you mentioned the loans. I mean, did you guys apply for that stuff? Did you have any luck? We did. We had no luck.
Yeah, I mean, we're still trying to get through it all. In the first round, we didn't really have much success, and the process is extremely frustrating. Yeah, I mean, you've been through it. It's extremely frustrating, extremely confusing. And,
obviously, every few days.
Yeah. Every day I keep watching for emails and finding out what the status is and stuff like that. So we hope, but I mean, that's a Band-Aid that gives us a little bit of breathing room, but it doesn't, it helps us maybe figure out what the next step is going to be, but it's not, it's not a silver bullet for sure.
What let's do a little bit of forecasting because you said you're exploring the returning. The governor hasn't said yet when he's going to uh, up it beyond 25% capacity. You did say that at some point you're going to be opening. Can you forecast that? Is that like in the next month? Is that in the next couple of weeks?
I would say sometime within the next couple of weeks, we're figuring out what that works. Whether is it just patio? Is it,
Yeah.
we got to look at all of our facilities individually. And, I talked to the guys today, like we're in Zoli's meeting this morning. And I mean, it looks like hell inside there because they have all the tables pulled away and all the chairs and there's, empty kegs in there. So we got to set this back up like a restaurant where we would like seat it for a socially distant dining. So I said, let's get everybody to do that. And so we can get a feel for what does it look like when you come in, is it freaking sad or is it going to be something that we can work with and, make people feel good.
How did they pull that off at Haywire?
Haywire, it's a gigantic space.
Yeah.
And same with the
ranch. A big space is tough to fill though, is the other thing. And if you have very few people in there, it can look very sad.
Yeah, but when we were there at Haywire we were there Sunday at noon, and there were it was a nice mix. I mean, like I said, we could see other people and we could hear other people. I just couldn't touch them. And it was kind of cool where they had they didn't take out like all of the tables. They would like have one table sat, and then the table in between us and somebody else may have had a Purell hand sanitizer on it. So it was like there are those queues there, and then they had what they're doing. They have what they're calling sanitation porters now. Maybe a guy that was a food runner or whatever. He's standing there with a mask and gloves on and a spray bottle in his hand. So as soon as I get up from my table, there's like a pit crew. They're all over.
Is that an idea that you might borrow?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we gotta we want to put people back to work and give them hours. That's a great way to do it, and it makes customers feel like I said, our restaurants are already cleaner than my house. Now we'll just make sure that we are doing things to make sure people are comfortable with what we're doing.
So there is a path. You just need to find it.
Yeah, we just need to find it, see what it looks like, and make sure everybody feels good about it. Like, that we feel good about it, that our staff feels good about it, that customers feel good about it. Like I said, we're doing okay on delivery and to go. We're not doing great. It will be really interesting to see. We got our first quarter numbers and they weren't cataclysmic. They weren't great, but we had a great January and February, and we had a great up until March 12th. Then, got kicked in the stones. It'd be interesting to see what April is like because we'll have a whole month of whole month of really bad sales, but also by then we had 2 weeks to figure out how do we manage down our labor and how do we manage down our food costs, and so we'll see how it pans out. Could we turn a profit? I don't know, probably not, but maybe not so bad.
Is there a point you're looking forward to that's like, okay, like was there something that you're watching on the horizon that's like, okay, if we're not back to normal, like we're out of the mess? Like, is it 100% opening? Like, what are you eyeing on the horizon?
I kind of have in my head, looking towards like July 1st. What do things look like on July 1st? Because I already see it on like the 17 walks I take around my neighborhood, because there's nothing else to do, where the first couple of weeks you didn't see anybody out. Then you started seeing people out. Then you started seeing people sitting in their front yard. And now you're starting to see people sitting in their front yard with their neighbors. So, I mean, I think people are starting to lose their mind a little bit, but people are also just trying to still stay safe. So, we'll see as it gets hotter and warmer and people are going to want to be out. And I mean, it's really just, I wish there was some kind of like real anecdotal thing, because anything you read, any study you read, somebody is going to throw 50 other studies that show why that study's wrong, whether it's like, hey, it's safe to go out, or hey, it's not safe to go out. And, I don't fucking know. We're just trying to figure out and do what's right. Like I said, week by week. I wish I had like a long-term vision of when we're going to get back to normal. I'm not sure when that's going to be. I'm not sure if we'll ever get back to the way it was, but we're going to try to find ways to still provide food and service in a way that we're used to.
You're doing a great job of it still. I went through all the fritters and most of the pizza and some of the Caesar salad throughout all this. I'm happy to report it remains as delicious as ever.
That's
The
good.
pizza does travel pretty well.
Yeah,
Is the
no, I
other thing.
saw you folded it up. It looked pretty good.
It looked, yeah. This one in particular traveled great this time. I think you hit it on the head. You know, we're all figuring all this out still. You know, I know we have a lot of unknowns on our end, but you know, I very much appreciate you taking the time just to talk with us tonight. It's been informative and insightful, and I thank you so much for taking the time. We've talked for almost an hour,
Oh, wow.
which is longer than I even threatened to go with you.
I'm sure this will be your lowest rated one ever. The worst.
You say that every time we talk, but when we cover Rosso, people click.
That's
you
because
guys are a buzzworthy thing.
only because I'm so hated. I'm the
No,
worst.
it's because you're so great on social media. First of all, Jeff is phenomenal, but then you're also, I mean, it must be hanging out with your daughters all the time where you learn these phrases, and I'm just like, how the hell did Jay like drop like some of these like? I mean, you're like a TikTok girl. Like with some of the phrases that you're
I'll tell you,
out.
that's one thing I cannot stand is that freaking TikTok. I do not get it. I don't know. All it is these people are like, oh, I can't believe I have so many followers. Like, well, you're like a hot girl dancing in a bikini top, so I can tell you why you have so many freaking followers.
Well,
and all it is lip syncing, right? They're like lip syncing and dancing.
There's some people doing other stuff too, but you know, I think we can have a recurring. We can get in touch maybe in a month and have our TikTok interview at that point.
I'm too old.
However, the notion of not wearing many clothes, I don't know if you see that comment. This guy, 13KP13, has $5 saying you're not wearing pants.
Well, I'm wearing shorts. I'm never wearing pants. I'm definitely wearing shorts.
All right. Well, hey, Jay, I appreciate you so much. To everyone who's watching, please visit Rosso and Zoli's, and
yes, desperately, please come visit us.
Well, and just support your local faves, right?
Yeah,
definitely. We got to see them through
please stop eating at Shake Shack and Chick-fil-A and Burger King and McDonald's and Chipotle.
And I'd say not even just during this time. Let's say
no, screw them. That's enough.
Exactly. So, guys, thanks for tuning in. I will be back here tomorrow night again at 8 p.m. With my old colleague Robert Wolonsky. So I'm really excited about that. Jay, again, thank you so much for taking the time. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. If you want to see the whole thing, this will be up on our IG stories saved, and we will post it to our site as well tomorrow. But Jay, thank you so much.
All right.
Happy May the 4th.
I know.
And good luck. You know,
I'm gonna watch a little Rise of Skywalker right now, I think.
All right, man. Well, enjoy. I hear it gets better every time.
All right. See ya. Thanks, Pete.
All right, man. Later. All right, folks. Appreciate you tuning in. Again, we'll see you tomorrow, and we're going to be doing this regularly all throughout this pandemic and probably beyond. I mean, this has been an interesting exploration to do this. I think I'm about to run out of time though, so I got to run. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.